In this video, we're going to attempt to cover most things linear functions. As you can see, we have a lot of stuff here. We have all the different various forms. We're going to talk about how to find slope and xy intercept. We're going to talk about how to graph it, talk about how to find parallel and perpendicular lines, and then also how to find points that go along with those. And the reality is you could start with any one of these, right? If they give me a graph, I should be able to fill out the rest of these boxes. If they give me an x and y intercept, I should be able to figure out the rest of these boxes, and so on and so forth. So we're going to start with one of them, one of the more common ways, and then I'm going to show you how to find the rest of those 9 boxes. And now, the way I show you is not the only way you can do it. There are other ways, other options, other paths you could take. This is just one of the possibilities that you may encounter. So the first thing we're going to do is, what if they give you 2 points, right? And that happens a lot. They might ask you a lot of different questions. They might ask you to find the slope. They might ask you to write a line perpendicular or parallel. They might ask you to put it in a particular form. And again, there are multiple paths to get to all of these, but I'm going to start off with the slope, all right, because it's an easy one to find, right? I know the slope formula. I like delta y over delta x. The delta right here, that's this little triangle, means change. So I want to know if I start at this 3 and I go to my next y value of -1, how much did that change? And that went in the negative direction, so I'm going to use a negative, and it changed 4 units. I'm going to do the same thing for the x. I start at 2 and I go to 4, and this time I change in the positive direction, but I change 2. From here, I'm going to reduce that fraction, and I'm going to know my slope is -2. Okay, so now then we got to ask ourselves, what information do I have? I want to try to write an equation. I know what the slope is, and I have 2 points I can use. And if you'll remember, the point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And I'm just going to plug in the information I have. I'm going to choose this one because it has no negative numbers, so it's going to be a little easier to work with. So I got y minus 3 equals -2, and then x minus 2. And from here, this is my point slope form. Okay, now what if they want it in slope intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b? All I'm going to do is I'm going to take my point slope form and just rearrange it a little bit. And all I'm going to do is distribute the 2 and get minus 2x plus 4, y minus 3 plus 3 plus 3, that's a 0. And then I have y equals -2x plus 7. And now I have my slope intercept form. And then I can put it in standard form, which I know is ax plus by equals c. If I just take my slope intercept form, -2x plus 7, just add my 2x over, end up getting 2x plus y equals 7. And you can see how that looks like my original standard form right here. All right. Now let's go down. Now that we have all the forms of the equation, I can pick any of those forms and graph them. Most people are going to choose the slope-intercept form because it's pretty easy. So I'm going to count up 7. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's my y-intercept. I'm going to go down 2 and over 1. I'm going to make my little slope triangle, right? I'm going to go down 2 over 1. Now I can keep going down 2 over 1 and create a line like this. And so there is my graph of the equation. Okay, let's slide over y-intercept. That one's really easy. I already know that one. My y-intercept is just 0, 7. I can find that by looking at my slope-intercept form, by looking at the b value. Now, the x-intercept's not tricky, but a little different, right? So if I know in my y-intercept the x is 0, what do you know about the x-intercept? And that is that the y is 0. So I'm going to take the original slope-intercept form, and I'm just going to plug in the 0 right there for that y. So what you get is 0 equals -2x plus 7. I'm going to add the 2x to each side. That turns into 0, and I get equals 7. So 2x divided by 2 divided by 2, that's a 1. So now I get x equals 3.5. And if you'll notice, we come back and look right here, there it is, it's the 3.5. You got to be careful when you do your graph. Make sure if you're going to use the method of graphing to figure out what my x-intercept is, you do a good job of accurately drawing that line. Here in mine, I just kind of sketched it out, so I didn't want to do it graphically, I wanted to come do it algebraically. Okay, so now that covers everything except the last two, which is parallel and perpendicular. For example, the one at parallel, that's easy, okay? Parallel means lines do not intersect and are coplanar. Okay, so basically all that means is they're going to run side by side together. Okay, they're never going to intersect and run right along each other. And I know parallel lines have the same slope. Okay, so that's important right there. Remember, they have the same slope. So if I wanted to write an equation that was parallel to my original one, right? So if I have minus 2x plus 7 is my original slope, if I just say negative 2x have the same slope and I just change my y-intercept to, let's say, minus 4, I would know those two lines are parallel because the slopes are the exact same. All right. Now, perpendicular over here means two lines that are 90 degrees of each other. Okay, so they're going to make a perfect right angle there. And to do that, if my original slope is negative 2 over 1, I'm going to write over 1 because what I'm going to do is I'm going to get what's called the negative reciprocal, okay, which means I'm going to flip my fraction and make it the opposite sign, okay? So this is my new slope of 1/2. So to be perpendicular, I could take the original one, right, which is negative 2x plus 7. So now my new slope would be the negative reciprocal of it, which we said up here was this positive 1/2. And then I could say x, and then this doesn't matter. I could choose any intercept that I want, and I would know that these two are perpendicular because the slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. Okay, I know that's a lot, and again, there are multiple ways you could have filled out all these boxes. You didn't have to follow in the exact same order that I did. So as you see something, just do it and try it. Move from each one to each one. Now, you're never going to have to answer all these questions at the same time for every given linear function, but you will be asked various types of these questions as we work with linear functions. So, hope this video helps, and we'll see you in the next one.